Hollywood magic hides a lot, mostly fires, lawsuits, and exploding fake whales. 1. The Wizard of Oz's toxic glow-up. You know that iconic green skin on the Wicked Witch? Yeah, it was literal poison. The makeup was copper-based and so toxic that actress Margaret Hamilton couldn't eat during filming or touch anything metal without getting a chemical burn. When her broomstick pyrotechnic stunt misfired, the flames melted her hat, her cape, and part of her face. She had to take 6 weeks off to heal. And when she came back, the studio asked if she'd do just one more fire shot. Hollywood logic. If it burns once, it'll look great the second time. 2. Apocalypse. Now's Apocalypse for real. Francis Ford Coppola didn't just direct Apocalypse Now, he lived it. The shoot turned into a tropical war zone. Typhoons destroyed sets, the lead actor had a heart attack, and the Philippine Army borrowed the film's helicopters mid-scene for an actual war. Coppola mortgaged his house, rewrote the script daily, and once screamed, "This film isn't about Vietnam, it is Vietnam." By the time it wrapped, he'd lost 100 pounds, millions of dollars, and all remaining sanity. The movie won Oscars. His therapist won too. 3. The Crow's fatal prop gun. It was supposed to be a gothic superhero movie. Instead, The Crow became one of Hollywood's darkest tragedies. During filming, Brandon Lee, son of Bruce Lee, was killed when a prop gun fired a real bullet fragment left inside the chamber from a previous scene. The movie studio called it a freak accident, but investigators found corners had been cut to save time and money. The crew had already walked off set days before, citing safety issues. Hollywood finished the movie using early CGI because nothing says "show must go on" like digitally resurrecting your dead star. 4. Titanic's frozen hell. Behind the camera, making Titanic wasn't just cold, it was practically an act of maritime vengeance. James Cameron built a life-size ship replica in a 17 million-gallon tank, where actors spent months soaked in freezing water pretending not to hate him. Kate Winslet actually got hypothermia. Leonardo DiCaprio swore off seafood forever, and several crew members were mysteriously poisoned after someone spiked the lobster chowder with PCP. Yes, angel dust. Paramedics treated 80 people tripping on a shipwreck set. Cameron himself got stabbed in the face with a pen while trying to control the chaos. And that's how Titanic became the most expensive group therapy session in movie history. 5. The Passion of the Christ. When lightning strikes. Twice Mel Gibson's biblical blockbuster had divine intervention, of the electrocuting kind. During filming, actor Jim Caviezel, who played Jesus, was literally struck by lightning. So was the assistant director seconds later. Caviezel also suffered a separated shoulder from carrying the cross, an infection from makeup, wounds and hypothermia from hours of shooting half-naked in the rain. At one point, he was accidentally whipped for real, leaving a 14-inch scar on his back. When asked why he didn't quit, Caviezel said, "Jesus didn't." Meanwhile, the crew quietly prayed for hazard pay. 6. The Twilight Zone movie. The scene that killed Hollywood's soul. What was supposed to be a sci-fi anthology turned into one of Hollywood's darkest moments. Director John Landis staged a helicopter stunt for Twilight Zone, the movie involving explosions, child actors, and low flying, all at once. The result was catastrophic. The chopper crashed mid-scene, killing veteran actor Vic Morrow and 2 children. The fallout led to a manslaughter trial, years of legal battles, and massive safety reforms across the industry. The film was finished, but the magic was gone. Even decades later, people in Hollywood whisper, "That's the movie that changed everything," and not in a good way. 7. Jaws, the mechanical shark. That tried to kill Spielberg's career before CGI, there was Bruce, the mechanical shark that refused to work. On day 1 of Jaws, the $250,000 contraption sank to the bottom of the ocean. Every fix made it worse. It leaked oil, caught fire, and once lunged at the camera operator for real. The crew renamed it Flaws. Filming that was supposed to take 55 days, dragged on for 159, while Spielberg hid the malfunctioning shark as much as possible, which accidentally created one of the most suspenseful films ever made. The result? A masterpiece born from technical failure. Or, as Spielberg later put it, the shark didn't work, but the panic did. 8. The Exorcist. When the horror wasn't acting. Few movies have traumatized audiences, and their cast, quite like The Exorcist. The set was cursed from day 1. Fires broke out, mysterious accidents happened, and a priest was called in to bless the production. Ellen Burstyn, who played the mother, was actually injured during a stunt. The scream you hear in the film is real. Linda Blair, just 14 at the time, suffered a permanent spinal injury when her harness snapped mid-take. Crew members swore they saw strange shadows, and multiple deaths occurred among people connected to the movie. Warner Brothers called it publicity. Everyone else called it a haunting. Even the director William Friedkin admitted, "I don't know what happened on that set, and I don't want to know." 9. The Poltergeist Curse. That got way too real, Hollywood loves sequels, even to Bad Omens. Poltergeist was famous for its supernatural terror on screen, but what happened off-screen was worse. Multiple cast members died tragically soon after filming. Dominique Dunne was murdered by her boyfriend, and child star Heather O'Rourke died at 12 from a misdiagnosed illness. The cause? Some say the curse. The reason? The crew allegedly used real human skeletons in the muddy pool scene, because they were cheaper than fake ones. Yes, Hollywood literally haunted itself to save money. The studio denied everything, of course, but every time someone whispers, "They're here," you can almost hear a prop manager screaming in guilt from beyond the grave. 10. Waterworld, the $175 million ocean disaster. Kevin Costner thought Waterworld would be Mad Max on the sea. Instead, it became Titanic, before Titanic. The floating set sank 3 times, the production ran out of money twice, and a hurricane destroyed everything once. Costner lived on the ocean for 107 days, clashing constantly with the director, who eventually quit mid-film. One diver was swept away by a current, a stuntman nearly died, and Costner himself was almost decapitated during a water ski chase gone wrong. When the studio complained about the budget, Costner reportedly replied, "It'll be worth it." It wasn't. Waterworld became a legendary flop, proving that maybe the real villain wasn't pollution, it was ego. 11. The Dark Knight, Chaos Beyond the Screen. Heath Ledger's portrayal of the Joker was so intense it redefined the role. But behind the camera, things got uncomfortably dark. Ledger locked himself in a hotel room for weeks, keeping a Joker diary filled with disturbing thoughts and sketches. When he died before the film's release, rumors swirled that the role consumed him. Meanwhile, on set, one stunt driver was killed filming the Batmobile chase, and another technician was seriously injured. Even the crew described the shoot as haunted by perfectionism. Christopher Nolan later said he never wanted to direct something that heavy again. The Dark Knight made history and left behind a shadow that's still hard to shake. 12. The Matrix Reloaded, the sequel, that nearly reloaded the hospital. If you thought Neo dodging bullets was intense, try dodging real explosions. During The Matrix Reloaded, Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss performed many of their own stunts, which is Hollywood speak for they got bruised in every possible way. Moss broke her ankle, Hugo Weaving tore a hamstring, and multiple stunt doubles were hospitalized. The freeway chase alone took 3 months and cost $40 million because the Wachowskis built an actual freeway in a desert. At one point, Reeves trained up to 8 hours a day while recovering from neck surgery. When asked how he managed, he simply said, "I'm fine." Translation: Keanu was literally held together by painkillers and destiny. 13. Mission: Impossible 2, the stunt that nearly made it Mission Funeral. Tom Cruise doesn't do stunts, he is the stunt. During Mission Impossible 2, he insisted on performing his own free climb up a 2,000-foot cliff in Utah. No harness, no stunt double, just a camera, some chalk, and a healthy disregard for gravity. The crew was reportedly terrified, and the insurance team was already filling out forms in pencil. At one point, Cruise actually slipped, dangling hundreds of feet in the air before regaining his grip. Director John Woo later said, "I couldn't even look through the viewfinder." The shot made it into the movie, and Cruise survived. The moral: the impossible in the title wasn't a metaphor, it was the risk assessment. 14. The Abyss, James Cameron's underwater nightmare. Before Titanic, James Cameron almost drowned half his cast filming The Abyss. He decided to build the largest underwater set ever, an abandoned nuclear reactor filled with 7 million gallons of water. The actors spent up to 11 hours a day submerged, breathing through regulators and suffering panic attacks between takes. Ed Harris nearly drowned when his helmet flooded, punched Cameron after being rescued, and later refused to promote the movie. Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio collapsed on set from exhaustion. The crew called the production The Abuse. Cameron called it a learning experience. Everyone else called it trauma in HD. 15. The Twilight Saga, Breaking Dawn, Vampire Birth, Real Blood Pressure. The Twilight movies were famous for drama, but the behind-the-scenes chaos of Breaking Dawn was next level. During the infamous vampire birth scene, Kristen Stewart fainted multiple times from exhaustion while filming with gallons of fake blood and prosthetics. Meanwhile, the animatronic baby they built looked so horrifying that the crew nicknamed it Chuckasme, short for Chucky Meets Renesmee. It was so cursed that even the cast refused to look at it. They ended up replacing it with CGI. The director later admitted the prop baby was a nightmare that haunts me still. Edward might sparkle, but the real horror was the doll with human teeth. 16. Mad Max, Fury Road, Apocalypse Now, with cars. When George Miller rebooted Mad Max, he didn't use CGI chaos, he built it. Every explosion, every chase, every flipping war rig was real. The cast filmed in the Namib Desert in a 120-degree heat, surrounded by sand, smoke, and general emotional collapse. Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy despised each other, at one point refusing to speak unless cameras were rolling. Several stunt performers were injured, and one flipped her vehicle at full speed, miraculously surviving. The movie went over budget, over schedule, and nearly over sanity. And yet, when it premiered, it won 6 Oscars, proof that sometimes madness is the method. 17. The Revenant, when authentic meant hypothermia. Leonardo DiCaprio didn't just act cold, he froze. Director Alejandro G. Iñárritu insisted on shooting The Revenant in real snow, natural light, and actual misery. The cast and crew endured 30°C temperatures, blizzards, and rivers that could kill you faster than the bear that mauled Leo, which, by the way, was a stunt performer in a motion capture suit. Talk about weird day at work. Crew members quit daily, equipment froze solid, and Iñárritu's perfectionism drove everyone to the brink. DiCaprio ate raw bison liver, slept in animal carcasses, and grew a real beard that probably deserved its own Oscar. He finally won Best Actor, not for the performance, but for surviving the world's most expensive camping trip. 18. Back to the Future 2, Hoverboards, Real Lawsuits. Back to the Future 2 imagined a world of hoverboards, which looked fun on screen but almost killed the crew off screen. During filming, the stunt team had to use rigs and wires to float the boards over water tanks. One stuntman slipped, hit a railing, and fractured his arm, while another nearly drowned when the rig snapped mid-shot. Production delays caused by constantly repairing hoverboards and reshooting stunts turned the set into a nightmare of floating anxiety. Michael J. Fox later joked that learning to hover should have come with a degree in engineering and risk assessment. Reality: hoverboards are harder than they look. 19. Spider-Man, 2002, web-slinging wounds. Tobey Maguire didn't just climb walls, he endured serious pain. During filming of the rooftop sequences, the harness rig failed multiple times, leaving him dangling by his wrists. On one particularly unlucky day, he swung into a steel beam and suffered a severe shoulder dislocation. Kirsten Dunst nearly fell into traffic during a stunt gone wrong, and multiple stunt doubles had to be hospitalized after bad landings. The set was nicknamed Web Hell by the crew. Despite the injuries, Sam Raimi managed to shoot one of the most beloved superhero movies of all time. Tobey left the set thinking, maybe spiders shouldn't fly. 20. Deadpool, a merc with real bruises. Ryan Reynolds prides himself on doing many of his own stunts, but filming Deadpool nearly left him permanently injured. During one fight scene, he was accidentally punched in the face by a stuntman, breaking his nose. Another day, he fell off a rigged truck, spraining his ankle while filming in motion. Reynolds spent weeks in makeup hiding bruises that would have been visible to the audience. Crew members joked that the stunt coordinator was auditioning for a Marvel version of Saw. By the end of filming, Reynolds was covered in scars, and somehow Deadpool still looked charmingly invincible. Hollywood heroics, literally. 21. The Dark Tower, when guns and horror collide. Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey fought villains and themselves on set. The production was plagued by prop gun malfunctions. One gun misfired during rehearsal, causing a small fire that nearly destroyed part of the set. Crews were injured by pyrotechnics, and McConaughey spent weeks nursing burns from a flamethrower mishap. The movie's complicated time travel sequences and practical effects pushed the production team to exhaustion, causing multiple resignations mid-filming. By the time the film was finished, the actors were in need of therapy, stunt doubles, and probably a small miracle. Hollywood magic? More like Hollywood chaos. 22. 300. When Spartan spears became real threats. Zack Snyder wanted 300 to be visually epic, but realism came at a cost. Actors trained with real spears, wooden swords, and heavy shields. On one take, a spear accidentally punctured a stuntman's armor, leaving a 4-inch gash. Another actor slipped on the wet set, sending his shield flying into the crowd of extras. Multiple stunt performers suffered broken ribs and concussions. Even Gerard Butler reportedly suffered exhaustion from repeated takes in the extreme heat, sand, and fake blood. Yet somehow, the movie looked flawless. Behind the scenes, it was more blood, sweat, and lawsuits than cinematic triumph. 303. Gladiator. Roman blood. Real pain. Russell Crowe went full Maximus in Gladiator, and the set mirrored ancient Rome in chaos. Crowe demanded realism. Actors learned sword fighting with real steel props, which caused multiple lacerations. One scene involving a collapsing chariot crushed part of the set and sent extras to the hospital. The film's director, Ridley Scott, insisted on shooting long takes, which exhausted everyone and amplified the injuries. Crew members nicknamed the set Pinus Maximus. Crowe later admitted, "I don't remember half the stunts. I just remember blood and yelling." Hollywood had created an empire of epic suffering, and audiences had no idea. 24. The Hobbit Trilogy. When Tolkien's mountains ate the crew. Peter Jackson's Middle-earth was beautiful, but brutal behind the scenes. Filming in New Zealand meant freezing temperatures, torrential rain, and stunts that left actors soaked for hours. Martin Freeman reportedly got frostbite on multiple occasions, while dwarves in costume had restricted movement causing sprains and bruises. Extras complained of dehydration and heat stroke on desert sets. The long hours for epic detail mantra turned production into a grueling endurance test. By the end, everyone looked like they had walked through Mirkwood themselves, minus the magic. 25. Resident Evil. Zombies weren't the only threat. Milla Jovovich's zombie apocalypse was real off-camera. Practical effects went haywire, creating slip-and-fall hazards. On one day, a collapsing set piece nearly crushed a stunt double. Smoke machines made visibility almost zero, leading to multiple collisions. Crew members complained of chemical irritation from fake blood, and fire alarms went off daily. Jovovich even got bitten by a trained dog during filming, the only thing scarier than the undead. By the wrap, everyone involved had minor injuries, bruises, and a healthy distrust of horror sets. 26. Inception. Dreams, explosions, and real danger. Christopher Nolan's spinning hallway scenes weren't CGI tricks. They were fully mechanical. Actors had to fight gravity while performing fight choreography inside rotating sets. Joseph Gordon-Levitt got whiplash during one take, and multiple stunt performers were hospitalized for motion-related injuries. On location in Paris, explosions went slightly wrong, sending debris toward the crew. Nolan insisted on realism over safety, joking that if dream logic can kill someone, it should. By the end, the cast had nightmares of hallways spinning forever, which, ironically, was just method acting. 27. Mission Impossible. Fallout. The helicopter that ate a man. Tom Cruise set a new bar for dangerous stunts, flying a helicopter himself. During rehearsal, the aircraft clipped a wall, nearly killing him. The stunt team was on high alert as Cruise refused a co-pilot. Multiple minor accidents occurred during the shoot, including burns and sprains. Cruise reportedly trained 5 hours a day for months, fully committed to realism. While the scene became iconic, it left the crew terrified and reminded Hollywood that some stunts are borderline suicidal, and that the studio insurance company was silently weeping the whole time. 28. Deadpool 2. Domino's luck was fatal for the crew. Zazie Beetz' Domino may have luck powers on screen, but the set had none. A complex stunt sequence required precise timing with explosions, wires, and falling debris. One miscalculation sent a steel prop dangerously close to a camera operator, narrowly missing serious injury. Several stunt doubles were bruised or concussed from repeated takes. Even Reynolds ended up with multiple minor fractures from practical fight scenes. The production joked that if Domino were real, her luck should have saved the crew. Instead, it mostly saved the movie from lawsuits. Hollywood never mentions it. 28 disasters, explosions, and near-deaths Hollywood pretends never happened. Which one proves insanity pays?